On this episode of Negative Modifier, we'll be playing the game deltagreen. Deltagreen is a mature tabletop RPG that tackles various dark and unsettling themes and topics that some listeners may find traumatizing, harmful, or generally uncomfortable. Listener discretion is advised. All right, Saga, Sanguine, you are out on a boat with Shecky Yoder. You are puttering along. You're making decent time. Like, you're getting a sense of just, like, this island you've been on is not huge. Red Landing is not huge, but, like, it's definitely bigger than you thought it was. And you're kind of getting a sense of just how much of the island's not populated at all. Like, the side you're going around, as best you can tell, there's, like, a gravel and or dirt road that goes around the entire island, and, like, it's not showing a lot of signs of use. You're seeing the occasional kind of, like, maybe sign of civilization, but kind of lining up with something you've been told several times. There are not a lot of people on the island. The whole idea that this whole tourist thing they do really does, like, double, triple, quadruple the population of the island. You're getting a much more kind of visually confirming confirmation of this. Like, looking at this, you're getting a sense of just how much of the island is untouched, wild, kind of unpopulated. Again, like, it's a very small community despite kind of how big this downtown setting is, type of thing. And perhaps it's putting into context the whole idea of, like, yeah, maybe this is why you keep the people in the tourist area, type of thing, because nothing you're seeing is especially interesting or appealing or noteworthy. Like, you pass the occasional kind of house that's along the shore or kind of up on a hill or something, and nothing's in the best state. Like, give me a search as you two are kind of getting driven around. And the fog is still there, so it's making it kind of hard to see everything in detail. But yeah, let's start this off with a search.
Do I get any pluses for my binoculars?
Yeah, I'll give you a +10 for that.
Hell yeah.
And then I don't have binoculars, so I just do normal search, right?
Yep.
59 out of 64 success.
10 out of 65 modified success.
All right, yeah. So as you're kind of going around, one of the things you do start to notice is that there are pockets of houses that appear to be abandoned, and not like recently abandoned. Like, it'll be like 5 or 6 houses that, like, none of you are architects, but kind of at a quick glance and guess, you'd say they've been abandoned for a few decades, if not longer. Like, the roofs are caved in, they're all in disrepair, they have a very dated look to them. Like, the farther you get from actually the dock initially, kind of that main strip that goes up over the hill, you see a house that people live in, obviously, but, like, the farther and farther you get, kind of as you wrap around the island, you're noticing that, like, less and less people live here. One could say that, like, there was a larger population on the island at one point, and it has dwindled over time, would be a kind of a safe assumption based on what you're seeing. It doesn't not make sense what you've been told, type of thing. Like, you've been told a variety of things from, like, people often leave and then sometimes they come back. Like, some of the people you've run into have either kind of married into families on the island. It's maybe providing a little bit of context of how you kind of still have this collection of families that, despite having historic roots to the place, are still very much in charge and kind of control it, because there's not that many goddamn people here, period. Like, Sanguine, asking you this because of your background kind of with upper crust people and whatnot, would Sanguine kind of have experience with, like, board elections and stuff like that for, like, I don't know, museums or something like that?
Maybe not, like, board elections for museums, but more than likely, especially just with being part of high-end plastic surgery, he has worked with some, like, health boards or some sort of thing, because he doesn't have kids, and I don't know if he is philanthropic enough to do donation work with museums.
But his wife is, isn't she?
Yeah. You know what? Yes, she is, because she's absolutely doing the social circle scene and everything else like that.
Yeah. So give me an intelligence on this to kind of see if I can give you a couple clues to something.
If Sanguine's doesn't work, I have a focus on anthropology and history with my background.
Oh, yeah. You can also get an intelligence on this one, too. Yeah, given your kind of, you've had to deal with similar stuff.
Sanguine is a 96 out of 70% failure.
58 out of 80 success.
All right, so Agent Saga, as you're kind of looking at this, the fact that the sheriff got elected, or kind of his main, is, like, concerned about the election, it makes more sense. Like, there's not enough people to have a secure vote. you could make an educated guess that like if half the population of the island is local, probably half of it isn't. And we're talking like a population of maybe a few hundred, possibly less than 100 based on what you're seeing type of thing. There's not a lot of people here. So votes like that and kind of control of things could swing wildly type of thing, just given kind of what people are feeling at the town. Like it is a situation where like if 5 people vote for the same person and then everyone votes for someone different, the 5 votes might actually win. Like it's that small a population. It does raise some questions about where are the people working in the kind of downtown tourist thing going on. Like there's not enough people here to support a chef year round. So that implies a certain amount of kind of seasonal work. But at the same time, you're just simply seeing kind of proof that the actual population of this island is incredibly low. And it would make sense that there are kind of some controlling families of it. And as you're kind of going around, you're getting why people maybe choose to leave. There's not much here, it turns out. It's just an island in the middle of a Great Lake that gets buffered by winter all year type of thing. But also, yeah, there's this weird fog you got going on. Maybe you kind of see some like weird ripples in the water or something, but like nothing overtly kind of bizarre is going on aside from you're just getting a really good sense of just kind of how insular and small the actual population of the island is. Like kind of like throw a weird idea out there. If something bad were to happen as part of the kind of like holiday festivities type of thing, there's probably not enough people on the island to stop like a bad thing from happening type of thing. Like if there was a riot or something, there's just not that many people here. It could get out of control very quickly. And also kind of geographically as you go around the island, you're getting a sense of like, yeah, that one's kind of dangerous. It's got a bunch of sheer cliffs, like falling off of the island would be surprisingly easy. And if it was cold in the water, you'd go into shock and die relatively quickly type of thing. You're getting a sense that like, is it weird they keep people all contained to the whole tourist side of it? Yeah. Is there an argument to be made it's for their own protection and like there's not many reasons to go outside the kind of tourist area to begin with? Also, yeah, like the island's not well settled or well developed or anything. There are plenty of instances you're seeing where like if you weren't paying attention, you could just drive right off a cliff with nothing there to stop you.
Shit. Okay. So do I actually see other people out right now? As like, do we see other people out as well, or is it just mainly like just abandoned housing and everything just looks really run down? And
maybe you see a person or two, but not really. Like it's mostly abandoned housing and kind of like it's still like also it's not early, but like it's still not the afternoon yet. And like if this whole town has kind of gone nocturnal to support the whole tourist thing, it would make a certain amount of sense that there's not a lot of people awake just yet because they're working nights. But also, yeah, the houses that obviously have people living in them, they're few and far between. And also, there's none out in the water with you. You two are out there alone with Shecky in the boat type of thing. Like, it's also foggy and cold and the winter and not a lot of reasons to be out there on a boat, though, either type of situation.
Okay. So I guess, I mean, I'm going to look over and say, I'm going to go, well, like, let's see if we can find, I mean, I know there's a lighthouse here, but like, this place looks relatively abandoned. I don't know if they're actually. Hey, Shecky, do people like actively live on this part of the island, or is this just kind of like people check in and whatnot over here, and like somebody comes over to the lighthouse and whatnot? But like, are there actively people living here?
Aye, the lighthouse is in a bit of disrepair. It's been. You've heard about the tragedy, no doubt.
Possibly, but I mean, we could be thinking about different things. Enlighten me.
Well, not to speak ill of the island, but as I'm sure Mr. Red told you at some point, back in the 1800s, the town was prosperous. It was recently founded, had a population of, I believe, about 300 people or so, or small immigrant community coming here to claim some land and live the way they wish to. Lots of fishing, lots of lake living, if you will. So back then, the two islands were connected. There was a bridge. And around, I believe it's 1911 or so, there was a tragedy where basically the entirety of the small island fell into itself. We don't talk about it much, but actually that's where the town hall and whatnot used to be. People used to live on the slope of kind of leading up the hill to where the tourist area you now think of as the tourist area, or where you've been to already. used to be kind of the main town, and then the courthouse and town hall used to be on the small island separate from that. Few small businesses out there, but kind of separating people living versus people doing business, if you will. But that caved in. Many people died. Greatest tragedy the town has never known. Only thing that survived was the lighthouse because it was off kind of towards the edge of the island. Did you see the small island from the slope as you were coming over the mountain or coming over the hill?
I remember seeing it briefly, yeah, when we first were arriving, I believe. But I mean, it was more the lighthouse that stood out, if I recall.
It is hard to see from that angle, but the island appears flat, except it's not. There's maybe 10 or so feet to walk around before the sinkhole begins. It's quite sheer, almost vertical down, and the water is cold and muddy and inky. Hard to escape from. If you fall in, it's quite the problem.
Oh, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
We typically do not go to the small island. This is but a favor to the sheriff.
Fair enough. What about this part we're in now? Like, I mean, this place looks kind of interesting here, but
the island has fallen on, what would the phrase be? Hard times. Depending how you look on it, the island has refused to modernize or has hung on to its traditional roots, if you will. I personally like the solitude and the quiet comforts the island provides, but it's hard to keep young people here. There is a slow bleed of the next generation out, and I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but the average age on the island is getting up there relatively quickly. Not a lot of young blood left to keep the island around, and if we're being honest, there are concerns about how many more generations we can go before the island collapses.
Yeah, I mean, understandable, genuine concern.
It's as the world changes, it's harder and harder to justify living without things like internet or reliable power or access to the outside world for half the year.
Hey, Captain.
Aye?
By chance, the dwindling population is there a specific reason other than just maybe the youth just leaving the island, or?
Well, tell me, Mr. Investigator, what do you do for a living when you're not out here investigating dead bodies?
I mean, I go about just enjoying my life at the beach, maybe surfing, mostly rowing.
And I assume you went to some fancy school to get your degrees and whatnot required for your profession, yes?
I mean, to get to kind of where we ended up getting, yes, there was, I guess, a little bit of some study work, but a lot of it was more so just being in the right place at the right time.
I mean, no disrespect, but my simple point being, we only homeschool on this island because there's not enough people to justify a teacher. People occasionally feel trapped. Often, the moment many can leave for elsewhere, they do. Some come back. Most do not. Think of a basic comfort that you can just walk down to the store and get. There is a decent chance we don't have it here. We can get it, obviously, but there's a bit of a lead time with it.
But nonetheless, it seems to be a decent, bustling community. I did end up visiting the general store, and the fishing catch was quite lovely.
Aye, we are blessed in that regard. The other thing that keeps the town afloat the rest of the year is fishing and whatnot. We do export quite a haul back to the mainland. That's what brought me here to the island, but it pales in comparison to the festivities.
Now, after seeing everything in context, I did not realize that the holidays, or at least just the festival, was something of that major of a source of income.
I'm sure you've been told it at least once, but as much as it pains me to say it, the festivities are what keeps the town afloat. Many of us make more during the week or so that the festivities are happening than we do the rest of the year. I am lucky enough to have a job that pays, but for many here, it is seasonal living, where you make as much money as you can during the holiday rush and then live off that the rest of the year. As a result, things are cheap and relatively affordable, as you may have encountered, but it is not a life everyone is inclined to lead. Not everyone wishes to grow up to be fishermen or townspeople. Do you happen to live in the same town you grew up in?
Personally, weirdly enough, yes. But I guess you couldn't really call it a town. It is one of the bigger cities in California.
Let me ask it a different way then. If you had to name everyone that lived in a mile radius of your home, could you do it?
Not at all. I barely talk to my neighbor.
Here, it's a bit harder to not know people. You wind up knowing people's business whether you want to or not.
Understood.
That's enough about this depressing topic. I do apologize. It is a tad sore topic for me. I came to the island. I was not born here, and the island has been good to me, but I understand the island does not have the same appeal for others that it did for me ultimately. While I understand why people leave, it is a tragedy that people do as the island slowly dies. My misgivings about Mr. Red notwithstanding, he has done a admirable job keeping things going and spinning and alive as best he has.
Miss Rebecca Goldblatt, the person that the victim of maybe homicide, the drowning, what have you. Do you by chance know who brought her in or who brought her here? Did she take the ferry? Was it something that like you might have heard anything about her by chance?
Kind of shrugs at this. Chances are she came over as part of one of the early batches of tourists. That's typically how these things work. Like I said back at the dock, I was familiar with her, but beyond that, I shrugs at this. It's hard to keep track of the tourists, if I'm being honest. A couple faces stick because they make the effort of venturing out of the main area and meeting the rest of us, but that being said, wasn't like she was here during off-season or anything like that.
When was the last time you've had someone kind of come to the island as a permanent resident?
Kind of scratches his head at this. That would be Christopher's wife.
Christopher
Nord. He's a local boy. He went out, found a girl, and brought her back with him. To life of me, I can't remember her name though. Only met her once.
Is she not someone who kind of comes about the town, or?
Oh, she comes about, but she is, let's just say, has not adapted well to living here.
Well, that's a shame. It seems like a pretty idyllic, while simple, an idyllic life.
He shrugs at this. Tell me, if you suddenly had to uproot your life and move here and give up things like internet and movie theaters and whatnot, would there not be a bit of an adjustment?
Touche. I understand that much.
The older generations, when they move here, seem to have a bit of an easier time. The young people, they chafe on it some. Little comforts like reliable cell phone service. We just don't have.
Is she on the older side or the younger side, if you don't mind me asking?
Shakes his head. Nah, she's maybe in her 20s. I tend to avoid all the politics and the families and whatnot. I stay on the docks and they leave me be.
As we approach closer to the island, do you not recommend us disembarking? Or are we just going to kind of go around it?
Kind of shrugs at this. I leave that one up to you. I do not recommend getting off the boat onto the island, but you seem interested in the island and the lighthouse, and there's only one way to investigate that, I suppose. I will not be disembarking. The island is dangerous, and I am an old man who would rather sit dry in the boat than deal with the kind of gestures around cold and the wind and the fog.
When was the last time the lighthouse was used?
Kind of laughs at this little. I've never seen it functional. My understanding is when cave-in happens, people stopped going to the small island. It is a tragic topic, but and as you guys just kind of saying this, the lighthouse kind of slowly kind of looms into focus throughout the fog as you're approaching kind of the small island, and you realize the lighthouse is not in great shape. Like, it is old and bricks have fallen out of it. Like, it's easily an over 100-year-old structure type of thing. Like, it is not doing well. There's a small dock next to it that, like, he's kind of making a beeline for, but also kind of like trying to look for maybe a safer spot along the bank to land. And Now that you're seeing it, like, this island is weird. You can definitely get kind of up the slope to the side of it, but it really does seem to kind of just like have a flat top to it type of thing. The lighthouse is even built kind of like on a slight rise at kind of the farthest away from the main island part of the small island. Like, you can see kind of the silhouette of the large island over the top of the small island, but like the fog is quite thick. Again, didn't see the fog this morning when you woke up. Well, we be approaching our destination. Should I try and find a spot to land, or you gotta brave the dock?
What's wrong with the dock?
The dock was built over 100 years ago.
What's the wave situation now? Like, is it kind of rocky where trying to board on land is a bad idea?
It's not terrible. I guess, like, Great Lakes do have some tidal activity, but not in the same way that, like, beaches and the ocean do necessarily. It's not the same massive volume. Like, if you go up onto the shore, you'll probably get, like, the bottom chunk of your pants wet type of thing. But also, the dock is not looking super great. But also, I don't think either of you have any carpentry background, so kind of gauging that's a bit of a kind of guess at that point. It might be fine.
I love when you say it might be fine.
Well, Captain, I did ask for your expertise specifically for this request. So I'm going to trust your opinion. Whether or not I have to walk around with wet socks, I would rather have wet socks than a wet everything.
One shore landing coming up. He kind of like steers the boat towards, not too far away from the lighthouse, but kind of like a little natural, not cove, but like beach. There's like a slightly sandier kind of stuff to beach the boat on type of thing, and makes his way towards that. Jumping over to Agent Spark. So Agent Spark, the other two have gone away on their boat. You're left on the dock. What are you up to now?
So I'm going to head to the sheriff's office.
Yeah, easy enough walk. You get back there. Door makes that loud kind of ringing sound as you come in.
Sheriff inside?
Yep, he's still there.
Spark will walk up and say, hey, can I ask a favor?
What happened to the rest of your party?
They're running down some other leads with Shecky.
They're going to be gone a while. We never really formally met earlier. Kind of extends a hand. Alan Musaf, sheriff of this small little town. And you?
Nice to meet you, Alan. Friends call me Spark.
Interesting name, but suppose we live in interesting times. What can I do for you, Spark?
Well, it's kind of against protocol for me to, keep looking around without at least a partner. And I can kind of write it off if you help me. So I wanted to see if you'd want to come with me to look into, take a look at Rachel's room.
He makes a bit of a face at this. It's definitely a reluctant face. I thought that's what they brought you investigators in for. Kind of out of my hands at that point.
You don't have to do any of the investigating, but I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble if I go off investigating on my own, and I can't say that I had somebody with me. It's kind of like protection against corruption. So, I can't plant evidence because somebody else is there, and they have to corroborate the story and everything.
Yeah, I get it. Give me a persuade, because he is really reluctant to help.
84% out of a 70 failure.
Leans in a little bit on the desk and looks at you. Can't you just wait for the rest of your group to come back? In the nicest way possible. Like, body's not getting any deader as best I can tell, and I don't think anyone's leaving anytime soon.
No, we're on a deadline. So I want to make sure we cover all of our bases before we have to, get back to base.
Kind of raises an eyebrow at that. Bit of a deadline, huh?
Yeah. Government work is slow sometimes.
Folds his arm and looks at you kind of appraisingly. So, little old murder in my little old town is suddenly pressing.
I'd say any murder is pressing.
I don't disagree, but last time I checked, this murder was declared an accident as someone fell off the island and froze to death in the water. Am I supposed to suspect that there's something more going on I haven't been told about?
Well, you do use the word murder, which I find interesting. If this was an accident, as you say, I think we'd be calling it an accident.
Guy shrugs at this. Last time I checked, they typically don't send forensic investigators out for accidents, so I'm assuming someone thinks someone was murdered.
I think I can confirm that some of the events surrounding Rachel's death are a little suspicious.
Kind of nods at this. Yeah. Definitely suspicious. Give me a human int.
74 out of a 16% failure.
There was definitely kind of an awkward moment where he was looking around the room some, and it passes, but kind of seems to relax back into his chair. I looks at you. So what would I need to do exactly? Just drive you over and pretend to kind of supervise or something?
I mean, you can get involved as much as you want. You can just drive me over and wait while I check out the place, or you can come in with me.
Let me put my cards on the table, I suppose. I exist in an elected position in a town of not that many people. It's not great for the longevity of my career here to be found poking around and making more of a mountain out of this molehill as it currently exists. Technically speaking, I'm inclined to believe that accidents do indeed happen, and while this is tragic, it is just an accident, and that your and your partner's here presence are more just kind of a due diligence, if you will.
Interesting. My understanding is the previous sheriff specifically wanted you to take over.
If you were being kind of manipulative, how would your character go about doing that?
I probably it would probably be persuasion or just simply based off of their raw charisma.
Which is higher, charisma or your persuasion?
Charisma.
Let's see that charisma at plus 20.
A 63 out of a modified 95% success.
And it looks at you and pauses for a second. Who told you the previous sheriff wanted me for the position?
The nice lady that you suggested we get breakfast from.
Kind of nods at this and looks around the room some. How long have you been doing forensics for?
Personally, I'm not the forensics expert, but I've been doing investigating for quite a while.
Kind of nods at this. And I'm guessing in your career you've probably seen a couple weird things that don't make a ton of sense, but there's plausible explanations for, so you're kind of forced to let it go?
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
What if I told you that there was something weird going on here? Which is why the previous sheriff wanted me involved and not a local.
I would say you have me intrigued.
He reaches kind of into his pocket, pulls out a key, unlocks something in his desk, and pulls out a very old kind of 3-ring binder and puts it down and flips it open. And as he kind of slides it over to you, you see that it's just a collection of missing persons reports. Going back 20, 30 years. None of them citing the island, but all of them from kind of areas surrounding where the island is. All places you could get to the island easily from by boat. And as you're kind of going through this thing, you're realizing that most of these people are tourists. They're not locals. They have traveled to at least this region to kind of go to the island. The sheriff leans over and kind of looks at you. People keep vanishing. And it's not a ton. It's maybe 1 or 2 a year, as best I can tell. But they rarely ever show up. They get reported a couple weeks later. Maybe something happens to them. I asked Thomas about it once, and he said maybe they fell off the ferry or something. And I think he meant it as a joke at the time, but flips to kind of the last, going through this thing the last 4 or 5 years. And he's the numbers are going up. There's more people vanishing. Also, that's not the only people vanishing. Bunch of people keep going off to college or never heard from again.
Interesting.
Yeah, they come back for a visit or something, and then they go back to the outside world, and then they're never heard from again. I've been here a couple of years now, and I could believe I want to talk to anyone here ever again in my life, but it's happening too much. We had, as best I can tell, 5 people that attended festivities go missing last year. Were reported on the island, were reported kind of seen elsewhere, as best we could tell, boarded the ferry and got to the mainland, but also no one's heard from them. Missing persons got filed. You're not the first people to come out and ask some questions. That's part of why the old sheriff retired. I think I got this damn job because I'm the only outsider that showed any interest, I think, in the position. And previous guy didn't tell me about this. He just left me a note telling me which drawer to open up with the key and to make my own assumptions about my job. Is this the kind of thing that might be of a little more note for your investigation?
This is the kind of thing that might get my team sent out here.
Kind of like crosses his arms. Does your team typically deal with strange things like this?
That's sort of our specialty, yeah.
Kind of nods at this. Interesting.
You seem personally invested in figuring out what's going on.
Kind of shrugs at this. He's like, not a lot here happens. I've had a lot of time to go over all the old case files. Not a lot of stuff happens here that's new, so I've had plenty of time to look into this and look into kind of everything that's happened. And between you and me, anytime anything bad happens, the Reds swoop in and make it all go away at that point. Or it's, I get it, small town, small population, small town living and whatnot, but I don't know. It feels like there's something off here. Kind of taps the book again. This tells me something's off here.
A lot of the interactions we've had with some of the locals further inland, I'm not going to say this is what it is, but kind of gives me the vibe of, I wouldn't say a cult, but definitely a group of people who are invested to keeping things the way they are. Your mayor tried to bribe us.
Raised an eye at the mention of the word cult. You haven't been up to the art community, have you?
No, I haven't. Should I?
Yeah, that's Samantha Red's turf, Thomas's wife. It's a strange place for a place like this. I keep getting told it's all kind of just folksy and whatnot, but you may have passed it coming over the hill. Did you see the woven wicker archway with the deer skulls?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's a small group of locals that live up there. Keep to themselves for the most part. Only Samantha kind of makes her way out every once in a while. She's married to Thomas, but Thomas lives elsewhere. I'm not quite sure what's going on up there, but yeah, they're the people that made the kind of gestures his head towards the rough direction of downtown, the goat and whatnot.
Okay. That's definitely something to check out.
Kind of shrugs. It feels weird up there. It's if you're gonna pick a worse spot to live on the island too, you can't pick a worse one. No cover, winds whip through there. It's last I was up there was all kind of like partial structures and trailers, but not a lot of reasons to go up there, if I'm being honest. I try and kind of avoid it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're intrigued by strange things. I'm also intrigued by strange things, so why don't we go find something strange?
Give me a persuade at plus 20 on that one.
A 58 out of a modified 90% success.
He kind of looks at you, looks over his shoulder and goes, if things really are weird, like you're implying and I'm implying they are, what do we do exactly? Can't really arrest people for being weird last time I checked.
Do you want the diplomatic answer or do you want the real one?
Kind of looks uncomfortable and looks back over his shoulder. I guess I'm looking for an honest answer. I don't like what you're implying, but also kind of taps the book again. This paints a bleak picture of what's going on here.
We solve the problem one way or another.
Yeah, that's the answer I thought you were going to say. So I'm going to go warm up my Jeep. He kind of puts a set of keys down on the table. And if you need to use like the bathroom or anything, it's kind of jerks his head in the direction he was looking previously. It's down that way. If you get to the cage, you've gone too far. It's right there on your right before it. But yeah, the last bathroom you'll probably have until we get back here or whatever. So do you need to? Maybe get some water or something? I don't want to be presumptuous, but yeah, I'll go get the car started and warmed up. It can be a tad cold these mornings, and Got to get the frost and fog off the windows, and you'll probably need 5 minutes or so before we head out.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes shouldn't be too long.
All right. See you outside, and kind of closes the book, puts it back in the desk and locks it up, but leaves the second set of keys very obviously on his desk, and kind of awkwardly makes his way out of the room, actually grabs the bell as he's going out, unhooks it, and kind of puts it on a table next to it so it doesn't make the loud sound as he's exiting. He goes, well, I'll see you out at the car.
I'll wait for the door to close. Are there any cameras in here?
There are not.
I'll take the keys and I'll go to the cage.
Yep.
And I will pop it open.
So the cage has a bunch of dated equipment in it. Your basic small town kind of hey, we bought this at some point, forensics kits and stuff like that. But it also has 2 pump action shotguns, a light Kevlar vest, and some handguns.
Is there they got a duffel bag in here?
Oh, yeah.
I will take a duffel bag.
It also appears to be used as the evidence locker.
Yeah, I'll take a duffel bag. I will put the pump shotguns inside, put some shells. I will take off my jacket and my shirt, got the button up, put on the light Kevlar, get a handgun, 2 of them, toss it into the bag, and I will slip one onto my hip, but I'm going to cover it up with my jacket. And then do they have anything in here confiscated brass knuckles or anything?
Give me a search, actually. Nothing obvious of that sort.
57 out of an 85% success.
So not a ton like that, except there is a baseball bat that someone has spent the time driving 5 large rail spikes through, turning into kind of an improvised mace. It's old, probably been there for a while.
Fuck it. I'll throw it in the bag.
Makes sense.
I will go ahead and lock up the door and head back out.
Yeah.
I'll use the bathroom before I go out.
Sure. You go meet the sheriff at the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you get in, you find the bathroom okay? Got everything you need? Any emergency supplies or anything like that?
Just packed up some extra snacks in case we get hungry. So
Cool. Yeah, so you mentioned going to the motel. You want to go there first, or do you want to check out the artist community?
why don't we hit the motel first?
Yeah, that's probably a good place to start. And puts thing in drive and starts driving around the island. Give me a human int.
78% out of a 16 failure.
He's obviously very uncomfortable with the situation, but there's definitely something underneath there. Keeps glancing at you and kind of out at the water and then kind of around. He's a little bit distracted while driving, not so much so you're in risk, but and you're driving around, you're kind of passing the similar stuff that Saga and Sanguine saw, where you're passing abandoned houses and kind of dilapidated houses, and just getting a sense of just how small the population actually is on the island once you kind of get out of this main drag area. And kind of the sheriff's very quiet the entire time, but kind of as you pass a couple things goes, points out the fact, he's yeah, there used to be people living in that a couple years ago, as far as I know. Not sure what happened to them, as best I know, but yeah, as you're passing this, you get a better sense that most of these places have been abandoned for a while, but a couple of them do show signs of being abandoned relatively recently, in the last decade or so, maybe last 2 to 5 years type of situation. Since you were close enough to this, you are seeing signs of the population decreasing recently as well.
Have you had a lot of people leave recently? Or is it just the 2 to 3 a year?
Shrugs. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I'm relatively new to the island myself, but I think we had 2 16-year-olds go off to college last year, as best I can tell. And they were the youngest people on the island by at least 5-6 years, I think.
Okay. Look, just so we're clear, before we solve any problem, we're going to make sure that we've done everything we can before we have to get more hands-on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Are you sure you're okay with this?
I have never been less okay with something in my entire life. But like you said, we're just going to go and investigate a motel room and then go talk to some artists. So, yeah, nothing to be too upset about or uncomfortable with.
It's the spirit.
Yeah. So, it takes about 20 minutes to drive around the island, give or take, kind of thing. And you eventually arrive at the Landing Inn. And its name makes more sense now that you're actually there. It appears to have at one point been a dock. Like you'd guess it was maybe like an old port building of some kind that was turned into a hotel motel type of situation. Like it sits slightly kind of it's just like slightly up the hill, but kind of leading off it is the old kind of remnants of a dock and stuff like that. It's an old building. Like it's 3 stories. Looks like the top 2 initially were kind of probably used for like storage or something. They've now been converted into rooms of some type. It's a nice rustic building. And you pull up like it's a dirt road type of thing leading to it. And Sheriff Musaf looks at you. So we're here. I'm going to stay here, I guess, with the car and let you do what you need to, I guess. I assume you're just going to go inside and ask to see the room and look around a little maybe or something?
Yeah. Do you mind watching the door a little more actively? I mean, you can stay in the car, but
Sure. I can do that. Yeah.
okay. Spark will get out and head into the building.
Yeah, so as you again, one of these kind of typical loud bells ring as you come in the front door, and it's a slightly older woman, kind of late 40s, maybe early 50s, kind of behind the desk that looks at you. Welcome to the Landing Inn. Do you have a reservation with us? Kind of looks at you and like blinks a second. You're one of the investigators, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm not. I was really sent here to look at Rachel's room, if I could.
Well, not much to see there, I guess. He shrugs at this. Yeah, I guess I can take you up.
I appreciate it.
It's a damn shame what happened to Rebecca. Been staying with us on and off for years.
Oh, so you knew her?
Shrugs, as well as you can know a patron, I guess. Seemed to come into town every year for the holidays. Typically stayed a couple days after the festivities and went home. Always paid cash, which was always nice, but he shrugs at this. I don't know. We don't get a lot of the tourists out here. This is typically kind of where visiting families stay, but maybe she wanted the peace and quiet away from the whole ruckus up in town.
Is she acting a little strange at all leading up to her accident?
Give me a human int.
96 out of 16% failure.
Just kind of shrugs at this. No stranger than anyone else, I suppose. She wasn't a young woman anymore. I assume you got the whole kind of rundown on her, right?
I mean, I got a rundown on the forensics of it, but not her specifically.
Oh, then. Woman was damn near 70 years old. I think she came out from like family tradition or something like that. I've been coming out here for, decades at this point, I think. Used to say that like something about her uncle loving the place or something like that.
Interesting. If she'd come out here so often, do you know if she was friends with any of the locals? I know that the mayor can be very friendly with outsiders. Were he and Rebecca close?
Shrugs at this. I really don't know. Based on what I can say about her activities here, she typically stuck to herself. Came in, joined the festivities, left.
You noticed anything strange going on this year?
She takes her head at this. No more than normal.
What is the normal strange you see?
Well, between the drunks, the partying, and the revelry, that's about the same.
I gotcha.
I will say this, though. It really looks like we're going to actually get to do the full festival this year.
Burning the goat and everything?
Yeah, it's the damnedest thing. Damn thing is caught in fire early every single year. But this year, we'll finally get to do it on the right night. It's so weird, though, too. It always burns down, like, the day or two before the end of the festival.
When does the festival end?
It kind of looks at you confused. Christmas. They didn't give you a whole rundown on the whole festivities here? It's been a few days.
They did. It's just, a lot to take in.
I have nods at this. Yeah. It can be a lot. It's some people find it a tad overwhelming, but people keep coming back.
Good for business, I guess.
She nods at this. Indeed it is. And so with this works, you've been kind of going up a set of stairs. The first floor had the most rooms. The second floor has not as many as the first, but like they appear you'd guess would be bigger rooms. And then you're on the third story. There's only 2 rooms. Basically, the floor is divided in half where you have the back side of the building and the front side of the building. And This woman kind of puts a key into the lock, opens it up, and you are now in the back side of the building room, if you will. And it's large. The ceilings are kind of low. Like, it's not a great room by kind of modern room standards, but there's a certain charm to it, if you will. It's more in line with kind of like a studio apartment than a true traditional hotel room. Like, it has the bathroom kind of off in its own little section, but like everything else, it's just kind of out in space. There's a sink, all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like a big space has been turned into a place one could stay.
Was this the room she stayed in every year?
Not every year, just this kind of things. She did like this room. She always requested it. Sometimes it was always booked, but
Who's staying in the neighboring unit right
no one right now. It's been vacant. We don't typically get a lot of people staying down here in the inn during the festivities. Rebecca's kind of an oddity that way. We get the occasional, mostly it's people coming back to visit their families that happen to overlap with us that choose to stay here. Want to be out of the hustle and bustle of the whole big party.
Okay, well, I'm going to be going to and from the car to get some gear and look around in here. Do you mind if I hold on to the keys? I'll give them back to you when I'm done.
I'll just leave it unlocked if that works.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
If you need anything, just holler. I'll be downstairs. If you can't find me, just ring the bell at the front. I'll probably be in the little office if I'm not there.
Since no one's in the adjoining room right now, do you mind leaving that unlocked? I just want to peek my head in.
Kind of looks at you confused. Odd request, but I suppose it unlocks that as well.
I appreciate it.
Basically a mirror of the previous room based on a quick glance, except that on the wall opposite where you come in, there's a big kind of window looking out across the lake and stuff.
Okay. Once the woman is gone, I'll head into Rebecca's unit and search it.
All right. So as you come in, give me a search.
34 out of 85% success.
You notice very quickly that there's not obvious signs of it, but someone else has searched this room. Like, it's just a couple weird things that are off. Like, a couple drawers are, one too many drawers are kind of ajar. A couple too many things are just kind of out of the exact position. And now that you're kind of looking at it, like, it's someone's rifled through all of this, but tried very hard to make sure it didn't look like someone's rifled through all of it. Like, there's like a duffel bag with some clothing and some stuff in it that, like, none of the clothing's folded, but it's still all in the bag. There's just kind of telltale signs that someone might be just paranoia, but like, it sure feels like someone's come through and kind of messed with things a little bit just to try and like do a search.
I will stay away from searching the places that have already been searched, and I'm going to look into like more esoteric spots that they might not have thought to, like look in. And I'm going to use some of my skills as that relate to my profession, knowing where to hide things. And,
yeah. So how are you approaching this? You kind of approaching it from like a criminal standpoint, from like a forensic standpoint? Like, what's your thought process?
So I think the approach is probably more criminal because Spark is used to hiding like listening devices and whatnot. So it's definitely not like forensic because she doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But, she's looking for like maybe that stray vent that no one would know to look in to see if someone had stuffed something, just out of sight.
Yeah. Give me a criminology.
A 22% critical out of 40.
All right. So you're kind of appraising the room. You notice that like all of the drawers are a little bit kind of like pulled out, like not so much so it couldn't be excused as just someone not kind of closing it all the way or something like that, except for one right by the bed. Like, it's very obviously been closed all the way or was never opened or something like that. Check it out.
I will check it out. I just want to note that I'm wearing gloves whenever I'm interacting with things. Yeah,
so it's weird. The drawer's actually kind of hard to open. Like, and it takes a little bit of effort, but it does open up, and there's just kind of your generic hotel room Bible, but it's laid upside down. So like the word Bible is facing down in the drawer.
I'll crack the Bible, like the cover open.
All right. Just start kind of thumbing through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about kind of 2/3 of the way through, because you got a critical on this, you spot that like there's a small piece of paper shoved into the Bible.
I'll take it and unfold it very gingerly.
All right, so you open it up, and it simply says Fairy Locker 313.
I'll thumb through the rest of the book to see if there's a key.
There is not.
Okay. I will take the paper, put it in my pocket. I'll check for like false bottoms in the drawer here before closing it. And then, assuming that I've done a general search of the room, I'll head out and just peek my head in the other room and make sure there's nothing weird going on there. I'll head back down to the car.
Yeah. As you get back out to the car, Sheriff Musaf looks at you. You find anything?
Do you really want to know?
Fair point. Where are we off to next?
The ferry, please.
Sheriff raises an eye at you. A ferry?
I need to check something out.
All right. You kind of drive back the way you came, going along the side of the island. What are Spark's thoughts as all this is going on?
Spark has kind of two thought processes. The first is that Rebecca recognized that something weird is going on here because she's been coming for 10 years. And she got close to figuring something out, and that's why she was killed. And then the other thought Spark has is that Rebecca was coming here for 10 years because he was a part of whatever is going on here, like the cult or the culture or whatever it is. And she was killed because she was either trying to get out or went against the wishes of whoever's in charge here.
Makes sense so far. On behalf of all of us at Negative Modifier, thank you for listening, and we do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are not already a subscriber, please consider becoming one, partially so you do not miss our next episode, but mostly because it helps new listeners find us. In addition to that, if you liked the episode, please consider clicking the thumbs up button below. If you'd like to further support the show, please consider joining us on Discord or becoming a Patreon patron.